it does appear that the UK at first brush got off quite lightly. 10% tariff from Donald Trump, half the rate coming on EU goods, but that's also equal level of cost that the US says we apply to their exports. Where's Britain's discount?
Well, first of all, you're right to say we're in a more favourable category than some countries, but of course we're disappointed still this morning. We don't think there is an argument for these tariffs to be imposed on UK goods entering the US. We think we already have a very strong and fair, balanced trading relationship, mutually beneficial. None of the big deficit in goods on the US side that the President is particularly animated about. So obviously, we're pleased with the favourable side of the basket of countries that we are in, but we will continue our work on a trade deal to remove the need for these tariffs and actually to deepen the existing relationship that we have, and that will remain the focus of our work here in the UK.
Do you believe the 10% tariffs will ever come off?
I believe they can do. I believe they can do. If you look at the existing relationship, extremely mutually beneficial. I think that is widely recognised on both sides. I think there's more we can do together, more that I want to do together. I mean, I want businesses based in the UK to have more market access to the US, and I want that alongside improving that EU relationship, improving the relationship with India, with the Gulf, all part of our trade negotiations, which I lead on for the British government. And I think that is possible. There's a conversation here about goods, about services access, about regulation, about economic security, all things that matter a great deal to us. And the plan for change the UK government is committed to has that economic security at the heart of it, and working with the US on a way forward is a very good way to deliver upon that. And the message I have to say I get from businesses here in the UK is, look, of course we're worried. Who could not be with announcements of this kind? But we support the British government remaining calm and engaged and trying to find the right way through this.
I mean, one effect of this move is to drive a wedge between the EU and the UK. Some are actually calling it a benefit of Brexit. But how do you build a relationship or build a closer partnership with Europe while heading in different directions?
Look, I do not accept the case that's sometimes made that the UK has to pick between our two most important trading partners. There's a whole set of things I know we could work more closely with the US, a whole set of goods and services and market access regulatory changes that would really improve that. And I believe that can be done whilst maintaining the space we need to do what we call the EU reset, the focus on improving the trading relationship with the EU, recovering some of the damage that was caused to the UK economy by the way that Brexit was handled. Those are not mutually exclusive. They're really not. We can do that in a way which gives us what we need and actually helps the EU and helps the US with that strengthened trading relationship, and to build on the opportunities around the rest of the world. I'm really excited by the work I've done with my counterparts in India and with the Gulf. I think there's a really exciting position, and what I want is to be able to say, in a difficult world, a challenging world, if you come to the UK, if you base yourself from the UK, we will be the best placed jurisdiction to do business with, no matter where that business is.
But what do you think is the next step in negotiating with the US?
Look, I've already been in touch with my counterparts. Actually, this morning, already before I came on the media, I have to thank Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and US TR Ambassador Jamieson Greer for their engagement, for their availability. A lot of countries in the world will clearly be wanting to speak to them, but we built a relationship where I think it gives us the space to have this serious conversation about a good way forward in both of our countries' interests. And of course, my Prime Minister and the relationship he's built with the President has been an important part of that. And indeed, the approach of the UK government around economic security, rebuilding the headroom in the public finances in the spring statement, all of that has been essential to giving us the platform we need. I believe that platform is definitely there.
Secretary Reynolds, we know that the Vice President, J.D. Vance, has spoken about no trade deal without free speech. Has any of that come up in the conversations between the UK and, of course, the US? Has the topic of free speech, of the UK's online harms bill come up in negotiations or even just conversations?
And look, those issues have been raised by the US diplomatically more widely, those references that you have given, but they haven't been a material part of the trade negotiations that we have been having. I will obviously say, and I think I can defend this pretty strongly, the UK is a place that has always had a proud record on free speech. We can point to our long history in that area. We're very proud of our history in that area. So I don't believe there are material concerns that would prevent a really strong, productive, effective trading relationship going forward, and indeed a trade deal that would make that even more opportune for businesses in the UK and the US.
I know at the start of the interview you talked about forging stronger ties with other countries or other economic blocs. How is the progress on the Gulf free trade deal or even the India free trade deal going?
Oh, look, I'm very excited by both of those. I was in India recently to formally restart our talks with India and actually to progress them with my formidable counterpart, Piyush Goyal, a really enjoyable relationship that we have and a conversation that we're able to take forward. I think there are real opportunities there for both our economies. A deal between the fifth and sixth largest economies in the world would be such a positive story right now. And again, the same is true of the Gulf. It's not quite at the same stage. Now, you know, with these deals, nothing is agreed till everything is agreed. And so we've made some fantastic progress so far. I do believe, by the way, the change of government in the UK, the political stability that has brought to the UK, has made it easier for the UK to engage in these conversations and do these deals. That's something the other side, the counterparts, will always want to see. We have that now. We have a commitment in the UK to use the big majority the Labour government has here in the House of Commons to push through pro-business reforms, to regulation, to planning, to things that really will make a difference. So it's a good place to be, and I'm excited about the future, notwithstanding some of these pressures we're talking about today more widely.
Yeah, and it's really put the spotlight on actually getting a bigger industrial base, on focusing on, defence, on industrial plans, and aerospace. There are reports this morning that the government is also talking to Rolls-Royce about developing a next generation engine. Could you confirm those reports? Is that something that would be welcome news and that the UK actually needs?
I can't confirm any specific reports I've not yet seen, but I would say the commitment in the UK to have an industrial strategy, which we'll publish just before the spending review in broadly about 10, 11 weeks' time, is a crucial part of making the UK more competitive. We've got to do that. We've got to address some issues. Some of them are regulatory, some of them are fiscal, some of them are long-standing pressures that haven't been addressed in the past. This global situation we're talking about today, obviously we've got to get trade policy right, but that doesn't detract from our ambitions on domestic competitiveness, whether that's in services, advanced manufacturing, creatives, clean energy, a whole range of things which we're very proud of in the UK, but we know we can do better. We had a great life sciences discussion yesterday with the bio-pharma conference CEOs we had here in the UK across government. So that's our commitment across the piece, and we know we can deliver upon that, and how important that is to how people see the UK and choose to invest in the UK.
Secretary, just one last final quick question. What do you worry about the most at this economic juncture, given the tariffs and what we heard from President Trump yesterday?
Oh, well, look, any trade minister, any business minister is going to be concerned by some of the disruption, the impact of what has been announced yesterday. But we are, in the UK, focused on what we can do to make a difference, what we can do to put the UK in the best possible position, what we can do with friends and allies across the board. And that is our commitment from the Prime Minister to everyone in the British government. Obviously, I lead on a lot of that work, but I have great support from my colleagues to make sure we're in a position to not just resolve some of the pressures that we have upon us, but get to a much better, stronger position, and I'm sure we can do that.